people think they take notes, they take minutes, and they play an admin role. That's not true.
The board secretary may people undermine the position itself. However, it's one of the key positions. And why I say that, because if there is a word be missed, that can affect the whole minutes of the meeting.
They are not only the glue, they are the catalyst, they are the energy, they are the force behind it.
The board secretary is the one who, in reality, manages the board of directors. He or she is the one to set the agenda with the chairman of the board, to get the reports from the management or any other people who report to the board of directors.
When assessing a board secretary, we look at a few key areas. First, we look at scheduling, and this rests on the board secretary's deep understanding of the roles and responsibility of the board and ensuring that those meeting agendas have given time to each board member, that they have enough time to fulfill those roles and responsibilities.
The second part, it is the follow-up of those kind of decisions, if you may say, or of this kind of direction which has been taken into the meeting. And the outcome of that needs to be, first of all, followed. Then once it's followed, the outcome needs to be reported to the board member and the board chair.
Next is preparing the agenda and the board papers so that the information and the support that the board members need to be successful when discussing those topics or creating impact in those areas, that information has been provided to them.
He or she is the one who manages the meeting itself, making sure that we are on track, that we get the right decisions into every discussion or resolutions, and the one to follow up with the implementation of those resolutions and so on.
Next is keeping the minutes and the data management. How are they keeping records? How are they storing those records? And are they doing it in a way that maintains confidentiality and at the same time transparency, and allows those individuals who are authorized to access the data that they can do so easily and whenever they need to.
And even they play sometimes very important role in one-to-one advisory discussions with board members. They answer questions and they hold the memory of the organization end of the day. So whenever the board discusses something, they don't know the history of that, so they can mention that few years ago, this is what happened in this topic and so on.
The next key area we would look at is board support. For example, when new board members are being brought into the board, does the board secretary have experience in communicating the roles and responsibilities of each board member, ensuring they're clear on what the authority matrix for their role is, what they should be doing, and do they have the right materials, and have they been ramped up for that? The next piece is compliance oversight. Well, there will be a chief compliance officer in the company. The board secretary should also be a steward and help champion that agenda and highlight where there are key risks, where we may be overstepping our bounds, or where there may be gaps.
I wouldn't say it's a compliance role, but they are more of keeping track that the board is adhering to all regulations as well. So if there is any sort of breaking of laws and regulations or something that the board has to be doing, such as declaration of conflict of interest, for example, and stuff like that, they have to be managing this process, making sure it does happen end of the day. So they are, in fact, the mind of the board of directors, and they are the ones who remind the board of the rules of directors.
And the last piece that we'll look at is disclosure. The board secretary really needs to understand what information is going to go public, what information needs to be transparent as per the corporate governance framework, and what information needs to be kept private. They are the custodians of that information, and they really need to be able to advise the chair and the board members on what that disclosure should or should not be.
So that board secretary is a fundamental role for the success of the board, and our experience is the effectiveness of the board relies heavily on having the right board secretary in that position.